What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Grown Up Podcast, where you already know what we do. We talk about grown up shit. We celebrate independence. And of course, I got that Natural on the Wave music for you at the end. Today, I have a great guest joining me, and I'm so excited that we were able to connect. We're celebrating connections, creativity, and entrepreneurship with our guest today. He's an actor, a screenwriter, a producer. So let me stop with all that intro and introduce him. Jonathan Burke, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll be discussing his career, struggles, and motivations to not only celebrate his independent success, but also share the knowledge of trust and belief in self. So with all that being said, let's get to the questions here. So my first question is, let's start from the beginning. When did you discover your creative bug?
Oh my gosh. I actually have a distinct memory, an exact moment when I decided that I was like an artist and that this was something that I could do. And it was in 6th grade in Baltimore,
Really?
Maryland. Yes.
Okay.
Funny enough, I just had lunch with a girl who went to that middle school with me, and we were just discussing that performance, and she was like, I remember seeing you at that time and you were a star then. And I was like, he's so amazing, and I'm so glad to see you today where you are, because in that moment we did this musical about Motown that my music teacher Kenyatta Hardison at the Cardinal Sheehan School, I will always shout her out because she has inspired me to be who I am. She created this musical, and I played Stevie Wonder and I sang My Cherie Amour. And the first performance, the audience like went crazy at the end, standing ovation. And at that moment, I literally was like, oh, I can get used to this. This is dope. So then I just was like, let me devote my time and energy toward becoming an artist. And thanks to my teachers and my family for supporting me through that, that was when I made that decision. And from there on out, that was my focus.
So then did you know that you were going to kind of do this independently and really grow yourself? Or were you in a space of like, maybe I need an agent or, you know, something like that, so along the lines like that?
Well, at that time, I knew nothing about agents, managers, or anything about the actual industry. So I just was figuring one day what happened. I don't know. They would find me on the street. I didn't know what I was doing. But I knew that I needed to train. I did know that. So like I did end up going to Baltimore School for the Arts, where I majored in acting. So like I knew about, and that's, I guess, at that time is when I start to hear about like agents and things. But even then my parents weren't wanting me to like go out in the professional world just yet. They wanted me to get that education. Right. So I wasn't seeking that. It wasn't until college, I went to Ithaca College, got a BFA in musical theater there, when I really focused on, okay, how can I make this a viable career and be a part of the actual industry? And then upon graduating, I found an agent, and I was with them for a long time. And then recently, in the past couple of years, I added a manager onto the team. So just building up the team behind me so that I have the best ability to shine in this crazy competitive industry.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So my next question I have for you is, as an entrepreneur who holds many hats, how do you handle the balance of working in your current success while enjoying your experience as you would call it, CEO of Jonathan Burke Business?
Yeah, you know what? It can be difficult because we have the thing that we're hired to do, as artists, and those things are important. But those things help supplement the things that I personally want to do for myself, that I want to create for myself. So I try to find the time whenever I'm on a downtime, in between projects, especially to really focus on the project that I'm creating, that I have written or that I'm producing. I try to give all the time that I can to those times when they can come, because I know that there may be a time soon when I'm going to have rehearsal from 10 to 6 every day, or I'm going to have a show at night, or I'm going to be filming from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So I'm not going to really be able to focus on that as much. But even in those times, like, look, I'll be on the break having a meeting on the lunch break, or something, or an idea will come to me, write it down in the middle of rehearsal if I'm on a 10-minute break, or whatever, if I'm in the trailer for a minute, and things will pop to me. So it's kind of a constant thing. You can't ever really drop the ball on it because it's your baby. So it's always kind of in my mind. Those projects that are mine are always there with me. But I give more focus to it, of course, when I'm able to be free to really, really devote like a lot of time to it.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that because right now I'm still working towards being able to receive funds out of doing this podcasting thing. And so having to hold down the regular job, but still know that ideas are popping up when like I'm in the middle of lunch or whatever, doing something at work. I'm like, I need to, this is a good idea, and just making sure that I still be consistent and focus on, like you said, my baby. This is something I love. I pour my heart into for free nonetheless. And so I completely relate to that. And I just think that creatives being able to relate to each other and being able to understand each other is so important. So love that I have you here today.
Thank goodness for notes on your phone, because that saves the day.
Oh,
the
my goodness. Truly, I have at least 150 notes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't even know how many, but it's just like endless amounts of things that I'm just like, oh, yeah, let me just pop this in really fast.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. So my next question is, what is your thought process like when you're presented with new projects or you have projects you want to create?
Yeah, the number one thing that I think about is, what is this project going to mean to the world? What is it going to bring to the world? How is it going to change people? How is it going to open people's minds? How is it going to express something new about particularly Black culture? I'm very much drawn toward the Black experience, and particularly the Black queer experience. Yes. So I'm really, really about elevating those stories, highlighting the nuances that are within our existence, and just fleshing out what it means to be a Black queer person in this world, and to show people that it is not at all monolithic, that it is so many expressions within our community, and all those stories are worth being told. So when I'm creating a story, I'm thinking about that. When I'm accepting a piece of work, that's important to me as well. I mean, I just think that the visibility and the representation is so, so important, so that some little boy somewhere or girl somewhere or person somewhere can feel like they one day could be where I am, that they are seen, that they are important in this world, that their stories matter. So those are the things that I think about first and foremost when thinking about a project.
I love that. I really do. And as a person, a part of the queer community, being trans myself, I am trying to figure out my own lane in podcasting, being a trans man, and, connecting with people and making this podcast as broad as possible. So like you said, any person that can tune into this can relate and figure out their life through, what I'm doing. So again, so excited that we're able to, connect and really relate in that level.
Yeah, and you're doing it. It's amazing. So congrats to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
So my next question is, you've had the pleasure of working in TV and film as well as Broadway. This is a two-part question, so hold your pants.
Okay.
What are some positive and negatives being in both elements? And what advice can you give based on your experience to help others seeking success in the industry?
Okay. So I love both being on camera and being in the theater. My first love initially was, like I told you, being on that stage. That was the first thing that I was obsessed with. So there's something about live theater that you cannot recreate, literally, because it's happening in the moment at that time, only for that moment. And then it's gone, and it's ephemeral, and it is special because the audience is getting a once in a lifetime, literally once in a lifetime experience of what you're bringing to the stage. And that dialogue between the audience is so dynamic, feeling that energy, feeding off of that energy, and really feeling palpably what's going on between us. So
Right.
that is the thing that I love the most about theater. Now on camera, I love it. I like, as of course, as a kid, I looked at TV shows and was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with Denzel Washington or Taye Diggs or these people, and I wanted to be a part of their world, but I was like, how will I get in there? How can I get and become a part of it? Eventually, that happened, and I've fallen in love with being on camera. The reason I love being on camera is because it feels as if it's the closest to reality as possible. Like, I feel like you get to be in a kitchen. If you're in a kitchen, you're on set, you're in a kitchen, you have the sink, you have the stuff, like you are in a full world. And so it's almost as if nothing else matters but you and your scene partner, you and the environment you're in. And you get to create this truth that is just so deep, and the TV and film reaches so many more people. I really love that people literally across the globe can watch work that I've done. I mean, and that is incredible. The reach is just phenomenal. I wish that, like, somehow theater, it just can't. It can't do that, but. That is the thing that I love. Now, the things that I would say that are like trickier about, and the cons, if anything, about each thing. The theater, okay, one, I'm gonna be honest, the pay. We've got to do better about pay for theater actors. We bust our butts 8 shows a week for hours. It takes so much out of you, so much time, investment, so much preparation, training. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and we barely make enough money to like survive, especially in the city of like New York, where it's so expensive. So we need to be compensated for that work that we're doing, especially when the producers behind these plays are getting millions and millions of dollars. And the actors are not seeing any of that. So it's very unbalanced. The pay, you're working so hard because you love it, because of that passion that I was talking about as a kid that I fell in love with, and because of that connection with people. And so it is worth that, but it also deserves the compensation as well for it. So that would be one thing. And also, I mean, it's not a negative thing, but it's just the fact that, like, you have to always be on and ready. Like, you cannot say, hey, let's start over and do it again. If you mess up, you have to constantly be on. And if you, not to say that you don't mess up, because of course you will. It's natural, it's human, but you have to find a way to make it work for the performance, and then, seamlessly get back into, and not make it throw you for the rest of the show, because it could do that for some people. But you have to realize that was a passing moment, and then you move on to the next. Every moment is happening now. So that happened, move on. You can't take it back. All you can do is move forward to the next. So that the hours, it's just also the hours. It's just you only get one day off a week, and that for your schedule, for your personal life, is really difficult to like maintain, and to see family, and to take trips, vacations, or visit people. You miss weddings, funerals, all kinds of things, baby showers. There's so many things that you sacrifice because of the time commitment that theater requires. So that. Now, in terms of on camera, the thing that that I do love also, that you get 2 days off. That's really good too. For on camera, that was one of the positives. That's a great thing. But the negative, the hours are crazy as well. The hours can be really 12-hour days, 14-hour days. It's exhausting. And also, you do not actually, while you get the opportunity to say, if you mess up a line, you get to go back and do it again. But once you finish that scene is wrapped, it's in the can, you actually don't have the opportunity to go back and do it again. So there's something that about theater, every day you get a chance to try again. You get a chance to find something new, express something new, something small. But
Yeah.
on that camera, all you have is that time. And sometimes afterwards, I'm like, oh shoot, I wish I would have done this. Oh, this just dawned on me. Oh, that's what this could have also meant. This, I wish I could have had an opportunity to do it again, to do that. So that kind of is a con sometimes, because you don't get that opportunity to do it again. Also, I mean, a con also is sometimes that there is no audience, because especially if there's something that's supposed to be like really funny or something, you know, like that energy of a live audience helps with the pace, you know, feel that pacing and energy. But on that camera, all you got is you and your partner, you know, so you can't rely on someone's response to let you know that it's going well or something, which is a little tricky and difficult. But if you're in the moment and in there with your scene partner, you know, it all will come out. The audience will get it like when they're watching, but you can't be concerned with that. But yeah, just missing an audience response sometimes. But they do have those shows still that have live audiences.
Yeah,
you know?
they do.
I just haven't done one of those yet, which I would love to do one day, because it would feel like theater, and it would be like a nice melding of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice. A nice multi-cam.
Kind of the balance is like a live show in a sense. That's probably the closest balance we'll get to have TV and Broadway. But it still doesn't hit the same. Like,
not the same. It's still not the same. Wait, but there was a second part to your question. What was the second part?
So what advice do you have for people who are trying to find success in the industry, as all those pros and cons you just mentioned?
Oh my. The biggest piece of advice that I always give is to follow your heart, follow your passion, and follow your truest self. So I think that a lot of people get caught up in expectations, what people think they should look like, what people think they should be doing in the industry, what type of roles they should be playing. If I play this kind of role, if I play, particularly for me, if I play a queer role, oh, no one's going to hire me for a straight role one day. I'll be put in a box. But I just know that when I finally like owned all pieces of myself and really stepped into the truth of who I am, that all doors opened up in the most beautiful way. So I think when people can be their authentic selves in this industry, then you'll be much happier much earlier on, because you will just have the path open up for you, and you will feel good about yourself. You will feel good about the work that you do, and you will actually affect greater change, and you will book more things. Honestly, I really have found that authenticity, when you have a mask on, you can't really get to the depth of your emotional center if you have a mask on all the time. But if you are really vulnerable and true, then you'll be doing great, beautiful work. And that's what I want to do.
That is such a divine testimony, because literally that's the word that has been popping up constantly for me in this season of my life, is authenticity. And it's very interesting to look within self and figure out what you are not being authentic about. And putting this into the podcast for 4 years now, this is the 4th year, really finding that authentic and putting it into the podcast has been such a journey, and beautiful words spoken. And I'm going to take those with me as well, because I really truly believe that authenticity is such a door opener for, as you said, it opens all the doors, you know, for you to be free in whatever you're passionate about. So definitely.
Freedom. I love that word. That's what it is. You feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought that up. So hopefully people take that with them. Authenticity. Yes. So let's move on to my next question here. Let's talk about the current projects you're a part of. You play Eric on the Amazon Prime series Harlem, which I've watched already. Y'all, please go and check it out. Okay. Top tier. You're also You're also a part of several plays, all of which are linked in your Instagram. I won't say them all here, but y'all go check out his Instagram. And you're also a part of a series in development called Not Looking, which you have co-created, co-wrote, co-executive produced, and you star in. Wow. So
Yeah.
how long did it take you to build this sort of notoriety, and how do you find time for yourself in the midst of all of this?
Oh, well, it was a journey. I mean, it took a while. Like I say, I mean, I had this love and this desire since sixth grade. So it took a lot of years of training and hard work and belief in self and a lot of no's and, a lot of development. Been in New York for years and just, auditioning and starting out as non-union and then getting my equity card and, transitioning, finally making Broadway debut and then for years doing that and then finally getting the opportunity to be on camera, which is something I wanted to do for years, but that was a whole nother journey to get to that. So it finally getting there. So it was not an overnight thing.
Right.
It's many, many years of hard work, and love and passion and sweat and tears and laughter and crying. I mean, so much that has gone into it and still going into it. And with all the things that I'm doing, I do try to find time, even though there's so much work that's put into it and so much commitment. It is important to find time for yourself that's outside of the industry at all, for sure, because it's actually in a lot of those moments that you find inspiration when you're not thinking about work, when you're just at a picnic, in the park. You can be inspired by something at that moment that then you use in your art later on, so I try to, when I can, spend time with friends, family, and do things that I like make me happy, just that are like fun and bring me joy, and read. I love reading too. That also inspires me for creation too, but it also just is fun to do. So I love to read books, and non-fiction books or fiction books.
Really?
It doesn't matter. I like reading both. A lot of things about self-help, things, autobiographies, novels. Yeah, I'm into that.
Okay. That's funny. I was just getting into reading sometime last year, and I had started buying me books. But I haven't gotten as far as genres, spreading genres yet. But I did buy me a lot of self-help books, and they were great. Yes. I definitely recommend reading. I feel like reading is re-educating yourself for life. So trying to figure out that balance, because life is just constant balance, constant. And clearly, from the questions and conversation we're having right now, you're finding a lot of balance in every part of putting yourself into your passion, in each space. It's just trying to find that balance in that time. And so I love that. And I hope that people are getting the gems that they need to from this. So my next question is, I have a section on my guest forum where I kind of try and personalize our interview and have some fun here and add an interesting fact. So you told me you have 7 brothers and sisters. Wow.
Yes.
I don't come from a big family, so I love when I meet people who have big families. It's so cool to me. So what was it like coming from a big family, and do your siblings share the same creative bug that you have?
Well, I loved it. I actually love coming from a big family, and it's one of those modern families, if you will, where it's blended, step siblings, half siblings, but I love them all and count them all as siblings. Like, we're all very close. So that's how we get to 7. But it was a lot of fun because you always have a friend. I always had, since I was born, a best friend built in. And so that was great. And they all are so supportive of my career. They're my biggest fans.
I love
They
that.
love it. And none of them are actually in the industry though. I am the only one that is actually in the industry. Yeah, no one in my family is in the industry at all. Everyone's business people and things like that. But I was somehow the one. Now my father, he always I know, my father always said that he wished he could have been a singer. He has a beautiful voice. Had a beautiful voice. He passed. He's no longer with us, and we love you, Daddy. But he had a wonderful voice, and I always loved hearing him sing. And he always was like, if I, had the opportunity and like could go back again, I would like pursue singing. But his father at the time was like, absolutely not. You're not doing anything. You know, it was a different day and age.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Black people, especially in America in that time, like they were like, you need to get a job or you're going to get a check every week.
Right.
And thankfully, my father supported me in this path. And he was so happy that I was pursuing my dream. So regardless of anything, he was like, go for it, do it. I'm here to support you. But yeah, I'm the only one, but they love it.
I think it's beautiful that when, you know, parents kind of put off their passion or dream and then they see that in their child and they push that and they allow that to grow, you know, a beautiful flower from the ground. You know, they see that. And I think bless his soul and, you know, condolences to you. And very happy that, you know, he built you up, you know, to be.
He did, and it was never one of those things where he was like bitter about the fact that he didn't do it. And it was never that, because sometimes it can go that way.
Oh,
they feel like they never got their chance, so you know, they put a lot of pressure on the child. It was not that at all. It was just his joy at the fact that I actually was determined to follow that passion that I wanted to follow. And so he just wanted to support that. And he did.
I love that. I love that. So my next question is, what challenges have made you stronger as an individual, as a creative, and as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. There's a lot of challenges. I mean, of course, like I was kind of hit on earlier, there's a lot of no's that happen. So that's can be difficult and wear on you. But one of the biggest challenges that ever happened to me was I was making my Broadway debut in a musical on Broadway and I injured myself right before we went into the theater to start tech rehearsals. And so I broke my foot, and so I had to be on medical leave for 3 months. However, the week that I was to return to the show closed. So I never actually set foot on the stage in the show, which was to be my Broadway debut. That was a big challenge. In the moment, it was like a devastating thing. However, as it was happening, because of how it was timed and everything that was happening, I was like, there is something greater here to be gleaned from what's happening. This is not by chance that this is happening. There's something I'm going to learn. There's some reason why this happened. And I didn't know what it would be at the moment. But I've realized down the line that for a long time, I was working in musical theater and dancing in ensembles, which is a beautiful thing. I had a lot of fun doing it. I admire dancers on Broadway, are incredible. They blow my mind. But it was not the thing that was my passion from the jump. I wanted to be in plays. I wanted to do leading roles. I wanted, you know, to be the star of the show. You know, I wanted to be on TV and film, whatever. So, but because I had these other skills, I was doing a lot of that. But once I broke that foot, the dance went on the back burner. And I then had the opportunity to show other skill sets that I had with acting and singing, which led to me then really delving into doing straight plays and leading shows, which really opened up the door for the entire rest of my career. So it was actually a blessing in disguise that my introduction to Broadway wasn't one in which I was dancing in the ensemble, but rather I was in a play playing the leading role, choir boy, written by a Black gay man, Terrell Alvin McCraney, about a Black young gay boy that was telling a story that meant the world to me and that really changed my life. So it all happened in the way that it was supposed to be. So I say that to say, you never know why something has happened, and sometimes it's hindsight that you realize. And so everything, is going to, what God has for you is going to be for you, and it's going to be laid out the way that it's supposed to be. So I'm grateful for that struggle.
Yes.
Because it changed me.
Yeah. And I want to touch on that for just a second, because so many times something can happen in our journey and it throws us off and, completely. And some people don't come back from that, or some people, they may push through, but then they have another thing. And then, but as you said, these are just blessings in disguise, and if we can consciously understand that in that moment, that is just what's happening in that moment, and it doesn't ruin you forever. You know, we can start to build ourselves up from that point on. And I think that's you have such a divine connection, and and I feel that, and that you didn't, when I said, that had to be heartbreaking, you're like, I mean, it was really, and you explain, and it was a blessing in disguise. And that's the kind of mindset that is really beautiful, and that, I want people to hear and understand that we can have a choice. We do have a choice, in those moments, to choose that this is a blessing, and I'm going to see where it leads us. Yeah, I love that. So yes. I always say everything happens for a reason. So, and one of the things too, I want to add, we hadn't spoken since we had met at the after party, and I will say I was worried because sometimes in the industry you're worried how much I'm gonna use the word I used earlier, your notoriety is, and you get kind of worried, like someone bigger per se, or someone who's done more projects, or maybe has their name out here more, or something like that. You get nervous, like maybe I'm not enough, maybe asking him to come onto my podcast would be too much. But you're so open, and it's just not like that, especially with a lot of other guests that I've just whimmed out and said, hey, can you be on the podcast? And I want people to know and understand that you can just be yourself and put yourself out there, and like you said, the doors will open. And so I'm very grateful that I have you on the podcast today. Seriously.
Oh my God, I mean, that's a testament. Truly, what you're saying is so important, because you have to ask for the things you want, and you did that. Like, I admire that, someone who is entrepreneurial, starting your own podcast. I mean, and especially, again, me wanting to support Black queer community, especially, like any opportunity I can to do that, I'm going to do it for sure. Like, regardless of whether it's on HBO logo or on this podcast right here. I mean, it's all important, and you never know where people are going to be one day either.
Yes.
So you always should be kind to people. One day somebody's the assistant, the next day they're the executive producer at HBO Max, like years down the line.
Yeah.
And they will remember how you treated them when they were just the assistant picking up coffee, and now they're choosing whether your TV show is going to get greenlit or not.
That's right.
So it's so important to be just gracious and kind, and we all start from somewhere.
That's right.
As well. So you can never, ever forget that. So, I mean, I admire you because as myself being entrepreneurial and starting my own TV show and producing I have to ask people for things. Like, I have to, people that I think might be like, oh, no, you're not really, big enough, like you're saying, to do this. Like, I don't really know if we could, trust you with this vision. You don't have enough experience. I mean, coming from theater now, transitioning to a creator on TV, it's scary because it's so many people that have been doing it for years, but again, they started somewhere too. And like, I just think it's important for us to create our own work. And so, and I'm supporting others who create their own work by producing other people's projects. Yeah. And then also my own. So I'm hopeful and thankful to the people that have said yes to me, because that it's not easy out here to be a creator, especially as a Black person in this industry.
Oh yeah. I agree. And I love this conversation. Woo, so good. All right. So my next question is, what advice do you have for individuals like you and I who are building independently and who are seeking that to ignite their entrepreneurial fire inside of them?
Yeah. Well, first, similar. One is find your voice. What is your voice? What is the thing that you want to put out in the world? Again, which goes back to the authenticity part, the truth of self. Like, what is it that really gets you going, and be passionate about that. Your passion will inspire others. So that would be one thing. And then other, kind of what I was just saying, is you have to be fearless, actually, just as you are right now, to ask for the things that you want. And then you also have to do the work and of educating yourself about things you don't know about. So, get online and learn. There's so many resources online to learn about everything. So like, look into all those things. Talk to people that you know that have accomplished the goal that you're looking to accomplish, and ask them for lunch, ask them for coffee, learn about how they got where they are so that you can hopefully you be there one day as well.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all of that. So wrapping it up here, I got one more question for you, and then I'm going to let you out of here. I don't want to take too much of your time. So
okay.
What goals do you have in mind for your career by the end of this year?
Well, firstly, I want to have Not Looking be picked up by a network or studio, first and foremost. And then I also want to be a leading role in a feature film.
Ooh.
That I haven't done. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jonathan Burke, for joining me on the Grown Up Podcast. If you have any final thoughts that you would like to say, any personal shout outs you would like to give, and of course, for the people who forget or don't go to the description, let them know where they can follow you and where they can check you out.
Yes, I'm just so grateful you had me on. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. Great discussion. I just, again, want to leave people with follow your passion. Passion always leads to success. I really, really, really believe that. Oprah said that, and I believe it. It is true. Like, money will come if you follow your passion. You can't do things for the financial gain. Do it for what speaks to your heart and what you think will speak to others. That always leads to success. So that is one thing that I try to live by. And if you want to follow me, you can find me on Instagram at It's Jonathan Burke. That's at ITSJONATHANBURKE. And on X, formerly known as Twitter, at It's John Burke, at ITSJONBURKE. And then on Facebook, just my name, Jonathan Burke. And check out what I'm doing from here on out. We're currently filming season 3 of Harlem right now, so get excited for when that comes out. We do not have the release date yet, but be on the lookout for that. I will certainly be posting when that happens. And make sure if you haven't watched season 1 or 2, watch both of those because I'm on those as well. So check us out.
I love
and make
that.
sure you follow Not Looking, the show that I've created. Of course, we have an Instagram page, which is at Not Looking the Series. We also have a website, www.notlookingtheseries.com. And we have X, formerly known as Twitter, at _NotLookingTS. So check us out.
Absolutely. Well, of course, all of those links that you just mentioned will be in the description below for people to click, go follow you, check you out. Again, thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining me on this episode for today. It's been a beautiful conversation and I appreciate it. And hopefully we can connect again. I'll have you back on the podcast. Sound good?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Yes, I love that. Well, make sure y'all stay safe and be kind out there. That's it for this episode of the Grown Up Podcast.